welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. So today I wanted to show everyone my newest CGC 9.8 purchase. And this comic book is my second CGC 9.8 of this specific issue because it's a really special issue for me. Growing up in sort of the mid to late 90s when I was really collecting when I was young, this book was, one of the great covers of that era, and one of my best friends kind of had it, and I was really jealous of him back then. And it was a book I didn't have. So when I first got back into CGC 9.8 collecting, I really drilled down and wanted to definitely grab a copy of this book in the CGC 9.8. So now I got two, which is great. Now it's a Carnage comic, a related comic. And this is going to go down as kind of my second top recommendation for a Carnage book. I think the first one obviously being Amazing Spider-Man 361, the first full appearance of Carnage, which is such a classic, like Mark Bagley cover and a classic 90s cover, I think, a great cover. First full appearance of Carnage is got to be the top recommendation for a Carnage book. But this one is my second one. So, yeah, really happy. I think I grabbed it for a pretty good price, too. So we'll get into a whole CGC analysis and pricing analysis. Also, kind of drilled down and got three reasons why I really like this comic and recommend this comic as kind of a, certainly if you're into the era, kind of a late 90s, if you like this era of books, this is one to get, an investment grade type book. Alright, newest addition to the collection is another Amazing Spider-Man 431. The first appearance of Cosmic Carnage, this is kind of known as. But right on the label here, it just says Carnage in Silver Surfer appearance. But such a great cover. Look at that cover. Just loved it when I was a kid. Was jealous of my friends and definitely wanted to drill down and get this get a copy in the CGC 9.8. And now I have two. I got the other off camera here, but we'll get them all though. We'll have a sort of a Carnage shrine here because I got a couple of my first appearances out too. On the CGC Census, though, 179 of these in the CGC 9.8 in the blue label, and the CGC ratio, CGC 9.8 ratio is 45.7%. So of all graded copies, 45.7% are CGC 9.8s. And for a late 90s book, the 9.8 ratio isn't going to be as important. By this time, people knew to keep their books in really good shape, so you never get really low ratios during this time. It's more just about the coolness of the covers, I think, and how collectible they are, and 179 out there, kind of to have a 1 of 179 collector item, I just think is super cool. And, well, actually, we'll grab the other one here, because it's 2 of 179, which is a pretty cool feeling to have, again, for such a cover that I really wanted, really aimed for, and I knew I really wanted one when I got into CGC 9.8 collecting because it just stuck out for me so much when I was collecting as a kid. So, price-wise, for this comic book that I just got, this one right here, I paid $170. And it was from within Canada, no taxes, with really good shipping because it was from in Canada, so a decent shipping deal. So, I think that is a very good, fair price for this book because, yeah, just about a month or two ago, I had saw an auction for one of these pop up, and considering there's only 179 out there in the CGC 9.8, you don't see them just pop up all the time. Occasionally there's not many of these on eBay to be found. So one popped up in an auction, and it ended up going for $199. And then there was another one on eBay for $200, buy it now, and that one sold the day after. So, certainly this book has sold for about $200, and it just kind of shows how much of kind of a cult-followed book it is. It's really got a cult follow of collectors out there that really like this cover and really want it. So a couple I've sold for $200 in the past I've seen. I've saw sort of $170, which is the price I got for my book too. I've saw that in the past as well. And the lowest you're going to kind of get on this is if you get super lucky in an auction, it's going to be sort of $140, $150 maybe. But again, only 179 out there, not too many of these out there, and yeah, just such a, and I did kind of boil it down to three reasons why I purchased another Amazing Spider-Man 433. So let's get right into those reasons. The first reason, it's, this is a late 90s book, so we're, February 1998. And during this time, the prints really started to slow down. They were low print, so this is, in general, a pretty low print, especially for an Amazing Spider-Man issue. It's still a Marvel comic, so still quite well printed. But for an Amazing Spider-Man issue, low printed, only 179 out there. So you like to see that when you're collecting CGC 9.8s. You'd rather have, for a really popular book like this, I'm really surprised there's kind of not 400 to 500 or something like that. And the reason is late 90s printing just totally slowed right down. Like a book I would kind of, compare this to is that Amazing Spider-Man 607 with that classic black cat cover. I would say this is a very similar popularity to that book, but in this book there's 179 of them on the CGC Census, and that black cat book 607 there's like 420 something. So yeah, it just kind of goes to show this late 90s era was very low printed, especially for Spider-Man books. So that's the first reason. Second reason, kind of, how Carnageized everything is lately, with Absolute Carnage being such a hit and everything's being Carnageized. This is kind of one of the first original Carnageized, but like not even known, not even really said. It just was such a great story and such cool art. So yeah, this kind of goes down as definitely one of the first original cool Carnageized stories. So that's kind of my second reason. And yeah, third reason is, kind of a personal reason, but so nostalgic for me, this book. Yeah, I mentioned sort of my friend had it. I was really jealous of him when I was kind of growing up in the 90s there. And so a book that's so nostalgic for me, you get a really great pride of ownership from those books. And that's pretty much what all comic book collecting is about. So I get really great pride of ownership from having two now Amazing Spider-Man 431s. Yeah, for $170, I think that's kind of the fair price, and I was really happy that, considering it is kind of a hard book to find for a pretty cheap price, I thought, being in Canada where I have to try to get decent deals on shipping, 170 is a pretty good price considering seeing quite a few auctions for $199 sell for in the past. Yeah, really great call to follow book. So glad I got two perfect ones now. So gonna really quick here bring out Amazing Spider-Man 361, which is my ultimate top recommendation for any Carnage fan out there for sure. So we got that one. We'll bring out the direct here as well. And really quick, we'll just look on the Census quick because it gives you a really good contrast of like how the early 90s and the late 90s went for comic books in the comic book market. There's 3,461 of these in the CGC 9.8. So compared to 179 of these, 3,461. Now, kind of an apples and oranges comparison, to be honest, because this is like a first full appearance, so popular, the book to get. And this is like a cult followed great book, but not a first full appearance of, a great character or anything. So a bit of an apples and oranges comparison, but early 90s, when this book came out, the printing was basically at the top bubble point of printing books and comic book printing. So there was 3,461 of these in the CGC 9.8, whereas the tech bubble started taking off in the late 90s, and technology was the biggest thing, and computers were amazing and new, and people really started to almost play computer games and stop collecting comic books in a way, and the printing really went down and sales really went down. And that's why 179 of this, 3,461 of these. The CGC 9.8 ratio is 27% for first full appearance Carnage. Amazing Spider-Man 361. Yeah, so of all graded copies, 27% of them are CGC 9.8s. And yeah, for this book it was 45.7%. So this is more relatively rare. But yeah, with a cult followed late 90s books, once collecting really became a thing in the late 90s, like you're not going to get a really low CGC 9.8 rare ratio. Price really quick for Amazing Spider-Man 361. I think anywhere from $350 to $400 for a really nice looking copy is a fair value. You might get it for under $350. I've heard of direct versions that maybe aren't centered the best, going for about $300 or around, maybe just over $300. But for my newsstand version, which is nicely centered, really nice looking copy, I paid just over $400 for that. It was like $404 or something like that in an auction. This one I had graded right from the raw to CGC, so I didn't really pay up for this one, kind of a full retail, but yeah, great. so lucky to have two, a direct version, a newsstand version, and yeah, this is just, I think, one of the coolest 90s cover, maybe the coolest 90s cover out there. It's such a classic 90s cover, and I really like Carnage. If you like Carnage and the symbiotes, this is kind of the book to get, and then my second book, because there's a lot of, you know, Carnage books out there that it's just like, I'll put this here. You know, it's hard to kind of know, besides the first appearance, which ones to grab. I mean, you could go after, like, first Cletus Cassidy, which is, you know, 10 or so issues before Amazing Spider-Man 361. But then there's, like, you know, Carnage Mind Bomb and Carnage A Wonderful Life. There's so many, like, one-offs and stuff like that. And then there's the whole Maximum Carnage series where there's a lot of cool covers. But really, when I kind of drill down to it, and being that it's a low-print, late 90s book with such a great, cool, cult-follow cover, and I know what it feels like to really, really like this book, so I know there's a lot of people out there that really, really like it and want it. So, yeah, I think it's a great collector item. I would recommend it, and especially if you like Carnage like me. And, yeah, so happy to have two. And yeah, again, my kind of top recommendation besides Amazing Spider-Man 361. Like, I would buy this even over first Cletus Cassidy and first Carnage cameo and stuff like that. So, yeah, and even Carnage Part 2 and 3, like the issues after this, I like this better. It's just a different era, lower print, and, you know, good reasons why it could be a really wanted book. And, yeah, so hopefully you grab it for under $200 if you're in the market. $170 is pretty bang on fair. You know, if you get lucky and you're really patient, maybe $150-ish. Alright, that'll be it for this kind of unbox reveal, quick unbox reveal here. And yeah, really happy to grab another Amazing Spider-Man 431. Kind of have my Carnage shrine complete. I think I'm probably done for, probably won't get a third, to be honest. I don't really feel the need for that. But yeah, so happy for a nostalgic book that I really wanted when I was a kid, and I, again, was one of the first CGC 9.8s that I was like, I want. And it took me a while to get my first one, but it took me quite a while to just get this one, getting it in this week. So happy to have two Amazing Spider-Man 431, perfect ones, great cover. Yeah, so nostalgic. So I'll definitely get a great pride of ownership from these, which is pretty much what comic book collecting is all about, I think. So if you haven't already, I would invite you to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8. Hit the bell to get all our latest notifications, and add me on Instagram and Twitter too. I'll have all the links in the description below. But thanks so much for watching. Yeah, really excited I could yeah, show you this super nostalgic book. And yeah, it flies under the radar. So, you know, for an Amazing Spider-Man book, it really flies under the radar, to be honest. So certainly if you like Carnage, I think this is one to hunt for in the CGC 9.8 especially. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Appreciate all the support in the comments, as always. Yeah, just having some great conversations on Instagram. So message me on Instagram if you want to talk about comics or whatever it might be. Yeah, so thanks so much for watching today. I'll see you on the next one.